Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a preview of two full-frame cameras that Panasonic just announced that they are developing at their Photokina 2018 press conference. You have two new full-frame cameras, the S1 and the S1R, or as I like to say, the Z6, the Z7, the A7 III, and the A7R III. Now, the reason I say that is the S1 is a 24 megapixel camera that Panasonic says is meant for 70% photos and 30% video, or there's a chance of rain and some meatballs. I don't know where they come up with these percentages. You just pick them out of thin air. The S1R is a 47 megapixel camera that they are saying is purely for photos, even though it does video. So I don't know what they're saying there, but you can see that there's two cameras and they're going directly after Nikon, Canon, and Sony. Now the big question is lenses. What will the lens mount be? Well, it's a Leica L mount. Now at launch, they have three new lenses from Panasonic, a 50-1.4, a 24-105, which I'm assuming is an f4, and a 70-200 2.8. They're also saying that there will be 10 new lenses by 2020, and we'll look back in hindsight to see whether or not they actually hit that target date with 10 new lenses. But there are already Leica L mount lenses on the market. There's 8 of them for the SL cameras. The problem is they are super duper expensive and almost nobody owns them. But the saving grace is that they created an alliance that they call the Mount Alliance with Leica, Panasonic, and Sigma. This means that Sigma will be taking their lenses and smartly adapting them for the L mount now that they sell them for Nikon, Canon, Sony, Panasonic, and not Fuji, because Fuji doesn't have a full frame camera. And before I flip the paper to go over the specs, we do know if you haven't downloaded My Gear Vault yet, please go and do that. It's free for iOS and Android. And if you have a lot of gear, or any gear for that matter, get it into My Gear Vault. It's free. It's going to protect your stuff. Check it out. Now here's the specs. We do know it has dual IS tech, which means it has in-body stabilization as well as in some of their lenses. It will have IS built in to the lenses. This is something that Canon has failed to do. Their full frame body, as of now, does not have in-body stabilization. This is the big spec. It has full frame 4K at 60 frames a second in both cameras. We would assume that the S1 is going to have better video because of the 24 megapixels when it goes full frame, but at least they're offering it and not hindering their cameras, a la what Canon has done with the EOS R. There's a 3-axis touchscreen. Cool. They have the largest high-res EVF. We'll have to see what that looks like. The body, at least from the looks of it, looks very similar to the Nikon Z6 and Z7. From the front, it looks almost identical, and from the back, it looks pretty similar. I do like looking at it from the back from time to time, but that's not where the mount is. And then they have 3 buttons on the top, which is very reminiscent of what you would see in the GH5. It's fully weather sealed, which is a nice option, or it's nice to have because I don't believe that the Canon does that. And here's the biggest, most interesting thing that I think. 2 card slots. And it's not interesting because it has 2 card slots. It's interesting because they used an XQD card and an SD card. So it seems to me they got a hold of like the Z6 and the Z7, they're like, Nikon, you did something stupid. You said that you couldn't put in more than 1 card, and haha, we did. And they put an XQD and an SD. The question is, will they be able to dually write at the same speed, or will you have to dumb down your write speed to the XQD in order to write to the SD at the same speed? Because XQD is super duper fantastically fast. Now, as of now, there's no pricing. If I had to guess, I would say that the S1 is going to come in under $2,000 and the S1R will be around $3,100 if I had to guess. Now, this is a 4-horse race. Nikon, Canon, Sony, and now Panasonic has full frame. I can't sit here and say I don't think of Panasonic when I think of cameras, because I said I don't think of Sony when I think of cameras way back in the day. Sorry, Fuji, you don't have a full frame camera. Now you do have medium format, which we'll talk about on Fix tomorrow because you have a new camera out, but it's a 4-horse race, which is really interesting. And I'm going to talk about whether I think I can go to this camera or not. Now, people wondering about the GH5S and will they still develop the Micro Four Thirds system? They are saying, yes, they're still going to develop it. But at the point is like, if you could do full frame 4K, I know it doesn't have all the same features as that GH5S. Are people going to want the full frame and start investing in those other full frame lenses, even though they've already invested in the smaller Micro Four Thirds. Now, what will Sony do? Have they been sitting on an A7S III for a while and just wanted to see what everybody else is going to do? Are they going to put out that full frame camera? Will it do 4K at 60 frames a second? Will it have in-body stabilization? Will they release an A7 IV, an A7R IV anytime soon? Do they want to shock the system? We'll see what they end up doing. And should Nikon and Canon be scared? In my opinion, probably not. I don't think you should really be scared of the Panasonic right now, but I also probably said they shouldn't be scared of Sony back in the day, but I don't know that there's room here for the Panasonic in the market. I will try it out because, like I always say, that if you understand the fundamentals of photography and you know what you're doing, you should be able to get good results with whatever you put in your hands. So good on Panasonic for putting 2 memory cards in there, in-body stabilization, weather sealing, the tilting screen, the 3-axis tilting screen, and a huge EVF. It looks like a Nikon. What do you guys think about this? Stay tuned for Photo News Fix coming out probably tomorrow with a lot of Photokina updates, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Oh yeah, and I want to also remind you that if you're looking to pick up any gear, you can click the link down below, which will take you over to Adorama Picks. That helps support what we do so that we can continue making videos for you. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And that's it. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.